Alien 3 might legitimately be the worst sequel ever made. I mean, within 20 minutes, they kill off all the legacy characters, kill a kid, kill a dog, shave the lead protagonist's head so she's no longer attractive but looks like a 13-year-old boy. What the fuck? Now, I'm definitely new to the Alien franchise. I'm just getting on board with it because of Alien Romulus. I wanted to get caught up. I love the first two. Then we get the third one. What the hell was that? I mean, I understand why the fans are so pissed off now, why this series kind of has a shit reputation, because whatever that was, I don't think I've ever seen a steeper drop in quality between one sequel to the next. Because this film is so terrible, the only way I wanted to talk about it was to have some fun and rant about it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of shit all over this thing and just mention all of the terrible things that stood out to make this probably the worst sequel of all time. And one of the worst movies ever, honestly. This is one of the rare cases where I really don't think this film has a single redeeming quality. But if I have to pick one out so I can give one positive before I go into my rant, I guess the xenomorph looks okay practically when you do see it. Problem is, it's not scary. All of the things that made it tense are gone in this, and they use way too much CGI, so you get about, I don't know, 30 seconds of decency and 2 hours of shit. Now, starting off with the plot to this thing, what a mess. I mean, why are we here again? Because, oh yeah, a dog had an alien in it. No real greater purpose than that. Ripley wakes up again, getting back into it. And lazy really is the optimal word to this thing because unlike the last two that were very meticulous and calculated, all of the details they paid attention to make it stand out and be tense, this one has none of that. It's lazy in just about every regard. It has terribly written characters that are acted poorly. It's filmed disgusting looking. It has basically no plot and the ending sucks. It is just the creme de la creme of dog shit. Now, starting off with what annoyed me the most out of all of the bad things this film has to offer, it's how it looks. I just think it's disgusting and it's hard on the eyes. I mean, it's got that David Fincher cinematography where it's dark and grimy and dirty. It's just super ugly to look at. It looks like shit. It's got this orange boiler room tint to everything you're looking at. It's like somebody binge watched Mad Max and said, I wonder what the sewers look like in that universe. Let's film an entire movie there. You have none of the interesting looks or aesthetic of the previous two. It doesn't feel like you're on a spaceship, doesn't feel like you're in space. It feels like you're in this closed down factory, which I would not be surprised, honestly, if it's the reused ending factory from Terminator 2. That's how familiar it looked and that's how ugly it was. If you can somehow get past how this film looks and you're looking for some substance, shit out of luck there because the second biggest negative of this film is how boring it is. I mean, for a film that was scary and had action, this film has nothing going for it. I mean, it takes like an hour to get into this thing. You're on the ship. You're trying to get into the plot. You realize there is none. And you spend the time getting to know Tywin Lannister's character. That's what I'm going to call him. I don't remember his real name, but you get to know his character. But the problem is, as I said, it takes an hour of 2 hours just for this guy to get killed off. In the literal next scene, you finally get to know him. So you waste the first hour getting to know basically no characters. The ones you do get to know are pretty repulsive. They're criminals, they're wooden characters. They have nothing to offer to the film, so there's no stakes because even if they die, who gives a shit? They're criminals. And when he does finally bite the bullet and you get some reprieve, you get some action, you get something good to this film, it's not even good because the practical effects are terrible for his kill. And that's another consistent theme, which I'll get into in a minute when I finish ranting about the characters. There's absolutely no stakes to this film because there's no rootable or redeemable characters. You spend all of the time basically hanging out with a group of convicts on this ship. They're just repulsive people. They're irredeemable. They're like rapists, assaulters. So you just want them to die. There's nobody to root for, as I said. You're just waiting for the xenomorph to kill them. And they've relegated the main character, who's usually a badass, to just being a crybaby powder the whole time. They shaved their head because of lice. Kind of a stupid story mechanism. I think it was to give off the visual look she's a badass. But, you know, alarm, we don't need to know she's a badass. She's been a badass for 2 movies. So weird creative choice there. And because this film has no real plot, it needs to eat up runtime. So you spend a lot of the time with these annoying and irredeemable characters as they're conversing, more so bickering, not really talking about anything of significance. Basically every conversation with these convicts is as sophisticated as, oh, I fuck ye, mate. And I'm pretty sure that's an actual line in this film I remembered. So yeah, you got that going for you 1 or 2 times. But with that being said, you'd think you can have some fun with this, right? You're just waiting for some convicts to be killed off. You could really get into the fact this could just be a stupid slasher. But no, not even that, because the storytelling's so lazy, they wrote into the fact that they're in a maximum security prison and nobody has any weapons. Not sure how we got to that point and how the prison's being ran. But yeah, that's the main central point. They got no weapons. They can't fight back against the thing. So you're not going to have basically any interesting action or kill scenes. So because these criminals can't fight back, we're going to have some fun watching them die, right? We'll just sit around watching the alien pick them off one by one. Wrong again, because what they choose to do is they have the alien living in the vents like it's Metal Gear Solid, picking them off one by one off screen. You don't really see anything. You see them a couple times. I said the practical effects are okay, I guess. They're not the worst thing I've seen, But the xenomorph is no longer scary in this. The music choices, the filming techniques, it's like you're watching a very low budget B monster movie more so than an iconic monster like the xenomorph. The way it plays out in actuality is you'll get a pretty decent practical effect of the xenomorph, and then the next scene you'll get some of the shittiest CGI you've ever seen, like straight out of a Nickelodeon game show. I mean, the contrast cannot be overstated. If you've seen this film, you know what I'm talking about. It's bad, especially for a 90s film. When you do get to the point in the film where you think you're going to see some kills and some practical effects and you're going to have some fun, this movie has absolutely no confidence in its practical effects either, and it's very obvious by the way it's filmed. Nothing like a director telling you that he has no confidence in what he's showing you, but you're supposed to immerse in it. Very shaky cam, very janky, sharp cuts so you don't see anything in detail. They resort to CGI a lot, and it's very bad CGI, as I said, to cover this up. But the practical effects are pretty bad as well. They just did a couple scenes where it's okay. Honestly, I think just about everybody should know how bad this movie's practical effects and CGI is because of the famous scene where the alien's right up against Ripley's face. Not only is it stupid and lazy from a story perspective, why the alien, I guess, doesn't want to kill her from 1 inch away. It's a conscious being, I guess, but it just looks terrible. Like during that scene, it looks so corny compared to the other two films. I don't know, I could rant all day about how bad this film's practical effects and CGI are, given how good the previous two movies looked on such low budgets, and this one was significantly higher. In the second half of this especially, they really thought they were cooking with this filming technique of acting like they were the alien, the POV of it. It is like it follows the alien in 5 or so scenes from its perspective and chases down the hallway, but they do it upside down on the ceiling. Like, how tone deaf are you? I know that seems cool in theory, but it's so annoying to watch. We're watching a first-person shaky cam upside down on a ceiling. I mean, come on. This might be the worst technical choice I have ever seen in an action movie. I'm not using hyperbole. When you talk about all of it separately, it does sound bad, but there are no words for how laziness it all comes together to feel like in the end. I mean, the xenomorph blowing up, but acid doesn't go anywhere. Another detail lazily neglected. Killing off basically every legacy character off screen in an exposition dump. Newt died in the pod, Sarge died in the pod, Ripley got an organism in her, in the pod. Lazy bullshit, but at least you get to see some criminals you don't give a shit about being killed. That's cool, right? But I will say, at least when you get to the final scene, you are rewarded with a pretty good final scene. I'm just kidding, it fucking sucks. I mean, it's like Ripley's cause of taking her own life by jumping off a ledge into some lava. Apparently all of the criminals in this, who are just lifelong criminals and hateful individuals, become selfless in helping Ripley for her cause, keeping this organism from the scientists, all before she jumps off this ledge with terrible CGI. It looks like it's about 5,000 feet off in scale as the body goes down. It's some of the worst CGI ever. Yeah, this is just one of the very rare occurrences where I feel like a film has zero redeeming qualities. I mean, I'm kind of angry for the Alien fans. I feel their frustration, and I don't even have a connection to this franchise. This movie is so bad, if I was Ridley Scott or James Cameron, I might have shown up to David Fincher's house with a baseball bat. When it's all said and done, Aliens 3 is probably the worst sequel ever made, and potentially one of the worst films ever made. Because it doesn't work as a standalone film, and it completely undermines and shits on everything in all of the plot lines that made the previous two entries great. It kind of stands alone on the Mount Rushmore of dog shit. I feel for you, Alien fans. I understand why you're so cautiously optimistic for Alien Romulus. You guys have been burned so many times. I hated this film. I don't usually go into depth this bad in crapping on a film, but I had to. It was the only way to get some reprieve from what I had to watch. So if any of you guys seen Alien 3 or you guys fans of this franchise, comment down below, let me know, or let me know what you think is the worst sequel of all time. I think you'd be hard pressed to beat this one. If you liked the video and you haven't subscribed yet, join me down below. I do it all on this channel. I do new releases, scary stuff. I revisit classics, do tier lists, all of it. Love to have you. That's all I got in this video. Peace.